In the beginning, God created man in his own image. Male and female he created them, and he blessed them. But what happens when men decide that some images of God are defective? That some lives are less worthy than others? That the population of the earth needs managing?
In my view, I believe there should be no more babies.
Here we can see a chart that looks at the total world population over the last several hundred years. And at first glance, this is a bit scary.
We've got to stabilize the population. When I was born, there were
So what's wrong with the population? I mean,
too many people.
I ask, who do they think they are to decide who's good enough to live and who's not good enough to live? They think they're dealing with chickens and pigs and cattle. That's what they think.
Today, the eugenicists are trying to run our world with their
Population hygiene.
came about who was not well-born, who was unfit, who should not reproduce.
But question you should ask yourself is, do human beings have the right to determine the life cycle of another human being? Human beings are not given that right. They're not given that right because you have to understand it lends credence to the suggestion that those who are more powerful can subdue and subjugate those who are less powerful than themselves.
By 1935, 32 American states had compulsory sterilization laws. Over 65,000 Americans were sterilized, deemed feeble-minded, criminal, epileptic, or simply unfit. What's chilling is how mainstream this was. Harvard, Stanford, Yale, leading universities taught eugenics. The Rockefeller Foundation funded eugenics research. The Carnegie Institution published eugenics papers. This wasn't fringe. This was the establishment.
During the Holocaust in Germany, it wasn't only the Jews that were eliminated. They packed all the people that they regarded as not fit for economic activities. These ones they called disabled. They packed them along. It was called hygienic cleansing because Hitler said they were not fit to live.
The law for the prevention of hereditary diseased offspring was passed on the 14th of July, 1933. Conditions such as mentally disturbed, schizophrenia, depressed, deaf, disabled, alcoholics were targeted by the law.
Nazi officials estimated no fewer than 400,000 Germans would be sterilized. Roughly 25 times the number sterilized in the United States so far.
But when things began to backfire in Europe because of what Hitler had done, and many had discovered what happened in the concentration camps, they immediately began to change the name from eugenics. They started wiping out the eugenics in their names, in the names of their organizations. That didn't mean they changed. They didn't change. The funders continued to fund the process. They continue doing it. And that has gone on till this day. They changed their names, but they never changed their ideology.
April 1945. 50 nations gathered in San Francisco to create the United Nations. 3 years later, the World Health Organization was a science agency.
The WHO is not a health organization. It is an anti-health organization. And I'm not just saying that lightly. Read the document that establishes the WHO. Read it.
Complete physical, mental, and social well-being. That's not medicine. That's social engineering. By that definition, anyone who is unhappy or poor or disabled is unhealthy. And health becomes a matter of state control.
It's about population management, which is the euphemism for mass murder and the spread of infertility.
There was an explicit intent through a 3-decade-long program of research and development by the WHO to develop an anti-fertility vaccine. The motive? To reduce female fertility in the face of alleged overpopulation. The WHO's research and development program had identified a conjugate, a chemically bonded form of beta-HCG and tetanus vaccine as the most effective formulation.
They can produce sterility with the birth control vaccine, but they need to give multiple shots. It takes about 5 to really be effective, and they're spaced about 6 months apart. Now, it's interesting that tetanus vaccines can be spaced 5 years or maybe 10 years. You don't need a shot every 6 months, and you certainly don't need 5 of them.
Now, the kind of pictures we see, or what we see in clinical practice, if women have been given these vaccines, is an increase in idiopathic infertility, where you have a normal man and a normal woman, you investigate them for infertility. They are totally normal, but they won't conceive a child. And those are usually the ones with very high levels of the anti-HCG antibodies. The other thing we notice is irregular periods for women who are trying to conceive. We also notice that there is an increase in failed pregnancies, or what we call blighted ovum. Women who conceive, and when you do your first ultrasound, maybe 7-8 weeks, you find an empty sac. The baby never formed because something was attacking the placenta as it tried to form.
The resulting anti-fertility vaccine was successfully trialed in developing countries. According to the WHO, up to 63 countries may have been targeted.
To imagine that a system somewhere, some people somewhere, are behind my inability to carry pregnancy to term, that is a diabolical agenda.
That's what they're about. And how they used their influence to gain traction and become an organization that nations have to look up to. No, it's not it is not a global organization like some people think. It's a cult. And it's a racket.
The language of population hygiene never went away. It just became family planning, reproductive health, sustainable development. Same ideology, new vocabulary.
And as if that was not enough, they've metastasized into multiple groups in agriculture, food technology, medicine, all so they can get at you.
If you control reproduction, you control population. But if you control food, you control life itself. In 1980, there were over 10,000 independent seed companies in the United States. By 2020, 4 corporations controlled over 50% of global seed supply. This isn't free market. This is monopoly, and it's by design.
And they're controlling what we eat, how it's grown, and we have to decide as a society not only who's in charge, but what that means. We really need to start thinking about what does that mean when farmers can no longer save seed, and people in the grocery store, it may look like there's a lot of things to choose from, but it's all being produced by 1 or 2 companies. And when they decide to stop selling something, you're not going to be able to get it anymore. And that's already happening in the fields. Farmers are unable to get conventional cottonseed. These companies are saying, all that's left is GMO seed, buy it, and you have to sign a contract. You have to only buy our seed, only buy our chemicals. You can never reuse that seed. You can't save that seed. So farmers now are just renting their seed, renting the chemicals. They're taking all the risk, and these companies are making the money.
Percy Schmeiser was a Canadian farmer. In 1998, Monsanto sued him because their patented GMO canola was found growing on his land, despite him never buying their seeds.
My neighbor had grown it in 1997, and the following year it had through cross-pollination, but at that time we believe it was primarily the contamination came from seeds blown in the wind, transportation by the farmer to the market, to his field, and from his field to his granaries.
So if you didn't buy it and plant it, how could Monsanto sue you for using it?
Well, they said that it does not matter how it gets into any farmer's field, and they specified just what I said before, cross-pollination, seed movement, and so on. And because they have a patent on one gene that makes that plant resistant, canola plant resistant to a chemical, then they own the ownership. So it doesn't matter how it gets to your field through patent law. They can take the whole total farmer's crop from him or make him destroyed. And in our case, my wife and I were seed developers in canola, which we had been doing for over 50 years, research in the development of disease control and so on. Even we lost all that research when the court ordered through patent law, they own it.
The distribution of commercial seeds, in which all rights are owned by a handful of major transnational companies, means that agriculture will no longer be sustainable for many small farmers in developing countries. And therefore, we are going to see a gradual worldwide destruction of small-scale farms.
Patented seeds, Terminator technology, seeds engineered to be sterile so farmers must buy new ones every year. This is population control through food dependency.
Just seedless grapes, even animals run away from them. Seedless tomatoes and all the nice apples that don't turn brown. You can have them for 2 weeks in your fridge, open and exposed, remains white.
The tomato is one of the fruits that has seen the largest drop in nutrients, a quarter of its calcium and more than half of its vitamins. Before the fruit even grows, the seed determines everything. Tomato farmers choose their seeds from these brochures. They are published by manufacturers such as Syngenta, Vilmorin or Close. To attract farmers, they mention their size, shape, color, and, in particular, their productivity. For 50 years, scientists from all over the world have been developing these hybridizations to create tomatoes that can withstand all sorts of bumps and bruises. You've heard of crash tests on cars. Here are crash test tomatoes. During the 1980s, these laboratory tomatoes flooded the market. But there is still one problem that no one has managed to work out. Tomatoes spoil very quickly. Until the day scientists invent the eternal tomato.
That means you can preserve them now for longer. recommendation.
If your doctor prescribes chemotherapy for you, here's how it goes, more or less. The doctor buys it from the pharmaceutical company for $5,000, sells it to the patient for $12,000, insurance pays $9,000, and the doctor pockets the $4,000 difference. And there ought to be a law. The only reason chemotherapy is used is because doctors make money from it. Period. It doesn't work 97% of the time.
Chemotherapy is a hoax and a scam. Chemotherapy prolongs life about 2 to 3 months. 2 to 3 months. That's the sum benefit. For some cancers, such as gastric cancer, it actually reduces life expectancy. Chemotherapy has been shown to help cancer spread. It causes metastases. It helps cancer cells spread. It also activates cancer stem cells. So chemotherapy seems to be the worst things possible that you would want. Doesn't save lives.
They know it. Now the chemotherapy does not work. They know it. It wasn't designed to work. But the child-minded doctor who doesn't know anything but what they told him in school gets the report, chemotherapy is the next thing, the next big thing. And then, of course, with the media for deception. Or to get you to happily accept your death. Happily accept it. When I speak about these things, I'm not just making a complaint. I'm not speaking words lightly. I'm taking them up spiritually. That's the point. That's the reason for the discussion. And I'm informing God's people. Don't be a victim to these Luciferian organizations and their agenda. Don't be a victim. And that we must use what Christ has given us in dealing with them. Don't get subjugated by the ideology. So let's use what we've got. And the Bible is clear. Who wins? It says, resist the devil and he will flee. It didn't say he'll fight back. He can't fight back. He doesn't have the power to fight back. All we have to do is resist them and they must flee. They have to.